Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Poz. With me today is a very special guest. You may know him as the Human Wrecking Ball, the Silverback, the former OVW World Heavyweight Champion, the former WWE Intercontinental Champion. He is, of course, the big guy, the Ryback. Ryback, welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. You forgot the Heroes and Legends heavyweight champion and the Australian rock and roll wrestling heavyweight champion. Two other prestigious titles to add to that
Yes,
mix.
yes. I also love that Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, always called you the Ryback or the Ryback instead of Ryback. I always loved that. I always thought that was a little nod there, a little cool thing.
That was when we rode together, me, him, and Cody Rhodes for a brief period before I realized that I was going to invest in myself and riding alone for my own sanity to have the 3-hour gym time that no one was going to agree on and to eat at the restaurants that I wanted to eat at. But I look back, those were very fond times of I get along with those guys very well. We had a very interesting dynamic.
I heard that Daniel Bryan is a little bit of a bully. Is that true?
Daniel Bryan, so first of all, nobody's ever bullied me. Nobody ever will.
Right, of course.
So Dan, I think, but Dan is a shit disturber. And Cody Rhodes is a fantastic storyteller as well as Dan. And they will sacrifice the truth for a good story at times or stretch things to make a story better, which what makes in pro wrestling is a very good trait to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan gets bored very easily, or he used to anyways. I haven't been there in a while. And Dan would find ways to entertain himself at whatever expense that would come.
Yep.
But he's such a fun-loving, great guy. So it was never anything like fishy, like, with ill intent, or it was always, like grabbing onto my hips when Pat Patterson was in the hallway. And then which I would start like kind of getting up down the hallway and Pat's just looking at us like, what the hell's going on, sort of thing. And you just got to know to just go roll with the punches with him. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's been going on? What's been going on in your world lately? I know you keep me very busy.
Yeah, no, running Feed Me More Nutrition has been the main thing. And the main thing with getting my health, with everything. And, the truth is for the people that have followed me know the truth. And then if there's the other portion of people that don't, and then they don't, but, leaving when I left and I've been very transparent and honest on my end and things came to me as I went along, but, walked out and needed a 5-disc fusion shoulder replacement. And I've had 19 stem cell procedures. I've been truly blessed and I'm in a very, very good place mentally, physically, and financially, everything in my life since leaving, in which my back is now 100%. We've regrown 5-disc with the 19 stem cell procedures. A company called BioAccelerator, which Austin Aries actually works for, and worked there after I got hooked up with them. But they've sent me down there twice, giving me over $100,000 in treatments. And without them, I'm not better because the treatments in the United States aren't as powerful. And I honestly have just been blessed, and I think been aligned with some really good people along the way that have feel like physiotherapists and chiropractors and a massage therapist here in Vegas, which I'll tell you about that. It's a kind of funny story. How I've just kind of got linked up with these people that have helped me overcome the impossible, because I was done, and I didn't know I was done. And when I left at 34. And I did independence for like 2.5, 3 years and then I've been very honest about this because I made a lot of money and but my doctor did not want me doing wrestling because I needed the 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement, which I didn't come out and say right away because one, you don't want to put your health issues out there necessarily in the wrestling business as far as to that extent. Yeah. And then when I started seeing a lot of lies coming out, I go, I'm just going to have to be transparent and fully honest with what's going on. But that money that I made helped fuel Feed Me More Nutrition, because starting a supplement company, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Not cheap, yeah.
Yeah, and I started with 3 supplements, and we have 13 now. So it's been a very cool process to do that. But if I did not do those independents, I would have financially, and I was fine. I had money in a lot of other things, but I don't want to touch that. And I built that kind of a security blanket, and I knew what I had and what I was comfortable leaving with. But I knew that window was going to be probably a 2-3 year window of making 5K a weekend per show, 4.5K, and take full advantage of that, for what I did. But anyways, we're down to the final. I'm in the fourth quarter of this whole thing. My shoulder was just got a little more scar tissue. We got to break up. But like I tell people, it needed to be replaced. I had atrophy all on my right side. And it took all these stem cell procedures to get the tissue to even be in a state of being able to be broken up, essentially. Because it's called, there's different terms you can call it, but essentially my shoulder, the lat, the bicep, tricep, the scapula, the trap, the neck, everything froze to heal, like to restrict movement from being injured and getting injected with cortisone when I was in WWE. It ate away all the cartilage. A lot of like negative things happened. And then I also in this process had to switch my diet. I'm full vegan. I've been vegan for almost a year and a month now. And
wow, really?
Yes. And I went vegetarian the year prior. And this became recommended to me through the stem cell company, which was the only thing I never would look at my entire life. But I go, health is my number one priority. I was eating so much animal products and pounds of meat a day. My body was in a constant state of inflammation. And it wasn't until I went full vegan, the scar tissue in my shoulder started breaking up with the different techniques we've been doing, which it wasn't breaking up the first few years. So here we are. I've been aligned. I see 3 therapists a week, 2 on one day and then 1 on the other. Sometimes I'll go 4 times a week if I could fit it in. And then I do my softball for 2 to 3 hours a day, rolling on a softball in between all my stuff and working from the floor, because the tissue just needs to constantly be stretched and manipulated in different angles for that tissue to explode, essentially, which I posted videos on my social media. But that's kind of what I'm dealing with, and just getting it. I never want to lose my health ever again, and I've come this far. So it's like literally like fourth quarter, like ready. It could be any month at this point, just kind of gearing up, getting ready for everything, and then getting ready to put the pedal back to the metal. So.
And you mentioned that massage therapist. What's the story there?
Yeah, so I got lined up with these 2 different chiropractors they work out of Extreme Couture here in town, which Moxley actually trains down there.
Yep.
Francis Ngannou, it's a who's down there. And these guys come from this guy, Dr. Bo Hightower, who I got linked up with starting my YouTube channel, Ryback TV. It's just been a blessing. I kind of come across these people that are really, really experienced in improving the body in various techniques. So anyways, I started seeing those guys, but they do like dry needling and different like adjustments, obviously, and like hammer stuff, and all of it works really well. But the scar tissue needs to be manipulated with movement. It's kind of like active range therapy with pressure and manipulating the joint. It's very painful at times. So I've not been found. I was not able to find anyone with any of this that actually truly understood the scar tissue aspect of this.
Gotcha.
I'm all the way across town in Vegas, and I hadn't been to a massage place in I don't know how long. Ever since I left WWE, I just kind of stopped getting massages. It was like I stopped going to the chiropractor until I got linked up with these guys, and I'm across town. I'd actually had a date and met with someone for lunch this afternoon, and I'm all the way across town, and I'm driving, and I see this spa, and for whatever reason, I go into that spa. I go into this spa, I book an hour session. This lady tells me, she goes, we're booked today. We can get you in for 30 minutes. Just specifically, I wanted her to look at my shoulder. This woman, I call her my Asian angel, is the only woman who understands scar tissue. And after that first session with her, she told me, she goes, you're more messed up than anybody I've ever seen in my 30 years of doing this. She's the same age as me. And she goes, you need to see me at least once a week. And at the same time, I go, what do I have to lose? I was in so much pain, and like my shoulder just wouldn't move. It just stuck. And it's a very defeating feeling. And so I start seeing her every week. they go from 1 hour sessions to 1.5 hour sessions to 2 hour sessions to 3 hour sessions of every week. She was so burnt out. She couldn't, because working on me, it was just on the shoulder, specifically 3 hours. And here we are a year and a half later, almost 2 years. And she tells me every week, she goes, I can't believe you're almost better. Like, it's the range of motion of things where we couldn't even put my arm. And I mean, I'm screaming in pain, like biting my teeth, and we're like, I got full range of motion back on pretty much everything. And we just got to get a couple little areas of scar tissue to kind of release. And, but like, that's what I talked about. Like, I've been blessed, and I don't know, like, what are the odds of finding this one person at a Thai spa that in my entire life I've never met, specific people that are experts in this field, not understand like this issue. And it's unbelievable, like, that I'm even sitting here talking about it, and like, I'm not in pain for the first time since in my 20s. And
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. So she comes out. I've got a massage table at the house. I've got hot stones in the whole deal set up. And literally, she, like, either if I can't make it into her office, she comes here, and in every week, man, and just like clockwork. And I just saw her yesterday, and we got literally 2 areas left that we're working on. And I know a lot of people can't really understand it. So like, the easiest thing I say is, my career was done at 34. I should have retired. And due to having stem cells existing in I call it the hungry mindset of just being too stubborn to give up, here I am at 39. I literally feel like I haven't aged a day and feel better than I have since my 20s. So
Yeah, you still look great, obviously. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, no, it's I really, every day I wake up, I could sit up out of bed. I couldn't do anything, man. I was really, really bad. And it's like I said, just it was the best decision I ever made leaving, because if I didn't, I would have been in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, and I would have been forced to get the 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement, because it would have been too late. So
Well, what happened to the arm originally? Was it just too many bumps, or was there a
no.
specific thing that happened?
So for the shoulder, it was when I was in Florida Championship Wrestling, but it actually dates back. So you get injured in wrestling, you just work injured. But the
Right.
part of the problem we see this in with that WWE schedule is, you just work through injuries, right? And you don't say anything as far as like, hey, I need to go get MRIs, or it's just kind of like an unwritten thing. You just keep going. And so, but unfortunately, in my case, with my shoulder, I'd had surgery in FCW in 2009. I actually tore my bicep tendon in Deep South Wrestling, my first year in wrestling. I'm not going to talk about the details of how that happened. People that know wrestling know the Deep South Wrestling story. It was boot camp, and it was tough, and there were no doctors around, and it was screwed up at times. But I'm grateful for the whole thing, because it ended up making me a lot of money down the line with what I did learn. But I had a shoulder injury that never got taken care of. So I got re-signed to go to FCW. And that shoulder injury, I just was dealing with the pain, and they realized there was a problem, sent me to the doctor. I had to have full-blown shoulder surgery there on the bicep tendon. And then I had a couple, like a labrum tear, and there were like 3 tears in the shoulder. So I'm out with that and recover, go up to the main roster, and, debut as Skip Sheffield, then have the ankle injury, and then come back as Ryback. I had a lot of scar tissue. We never did any scar tissue. They didn't have a rehab program like they have now, right? And
Right.
things evolve. So you have surgery, you do weights, you do the recovery, and then you're back. Well, they started injecting me with cortisone and Toradol right as Ryback from the beginning. The cortisone was going in my joint, and at the end of the day, I take responsibility for allowing it. But when you're told you're going to be all right, and it's just something to help take away the pain, and you trust people, and it's at the end of the day, though, you allow it, so it's your fault. But it ate away all my cartilage, like really quickly, and my shoulder started grinding towards the end up there. And when I left there, that Toradol and cortisone that I was getting all the time wore off, and that's where I go, holy shit, my body's messed up. And then I was kind of left to figure it all out, and been blessed, like I said, to do that. But it wasn't just like the wrestling schedule. Everyone knows it's difficult, and you go out there and you know what you're getting into. I had some those events with the shoulder injury, but my ankle injury, a lot of people don't realize, when I broke the ankle in Hawaii during Nexus, that was they messed up my perineal and superficial nerves on the surgery, which I had permanent nerve damage in my left foot, big toe. That runs directly into my back, my L4 and L5, which those were the first two discs to start rapidly degenerating. And then doing the moves that I was doing, like the backpack stunner, then all the feats of strength, and just the schedule in general, my L1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 just degenerated. But it was all tied into that ankle injury, which I didn't even know it at the time. And I didn't know it until I had went to and got seen by people. And we were able to piece this whole thing together. Like, why did my back degenerate at such a rate in where it should not? If that was going to happen, it shouldn't have been towards much later in life. But I've learned, and I know what I'm not going to do when I go back. And I've used this time to grow and be grateful for everything, but to really put health as a number one priority, because a lot of wrestlers, and we see they die younger than anybody. It's the unfortunate part of the business of you do things and you think you're going to be superhuman forever, or you think you just worry about this day, get through this week. Well, those weeks turn to months, turn to years really quickly. And then you wake up and you're 50, 60 years old if you make it that far pretty quickly. And the injuries that you develop while there get a lot worse as time goes on, usually, unless you really create some really good habits and make some positive changes. And even then, you can get to the point of no return. Like I've said, and along the way, I remember before I got the stem cells, I was at a signing and Farouk Ron Simmons was there. And I just think I've been blessed with things happening to me. And I didn't know I didn't know about the stem cells yet. And I just knew I needed a 5-disc fusion, they told me. And I was really, really bad. And he had, like, I think a 1 or 2-disc fusion. And he was just saying he was never the same after getting it. And just something told me, if you get this now at 34, 35 years old, there's no coming back from that. The pain might have been lessened, but there was going to be no more physical, as far as the things that I enjoy. And I just wasn't ready to accept that. So.
Gotcha. So you asked for your release from WWE?
I walked out. Yeah, no, I don't know what people, that was, I left. And again, I think they obviously, with Mark Carano was there, they put out, people got to realize the game, what they do with that. And like, I've done nothing. I think everything I've ever said is 100% truth. No one will ever find anything I say and say, oh, that was a complete lie. Like with that. And I would say, if they fired me, they fired me. They didn't. I walked out. I knew what was going on with the contract stuff going on. I had a multi-million-dollar deal on the table. They wanted my trademarks, though, with everything, and they wanted me to sign that over. And I hadn't agreed on certain things yet. And I literally got to TV, saw what was going on, and the booking was going to start getting a lot worse because I hadn't signed the contract after putting over Kalisto, the last 2 pay-per-views, and which I've talked about that countless times. And it's all cool. I'm all great. I'll never have any issues doing business. And I just said, I need to go. And I left and I walked out. I told them to take me off their TV show. I was asked if I wanted to see Vince. I said no, in not so nice words. I got my bags. I left the building. I hopped in my rental car. I drove to Hooters, and I had some beers and chicken wings at the time because I wasn't vegan yet. And I made the decision that I was done forever with that company, because based off of everything that had happened legally, that we saw it play out creatively and different things. So it was, but I left. They then were going to stop my pay, which I knew they were going to do. But again, I thought this out for quite some time. So the moment they tried to freeze my pay, because my contract ended August 8th, 2016, and I walked out, I believe, in May, right after the Payback pay-per-view in Chicago. I left that next day. St. Louis was the last building I went to. And then I left that building and went home. When they tried to stop my pay a week or 2 later, I then said, well, I got to get my ear and nose fixed. That my nose was broken in Deep South Wrestling and never got fixed. And I said my eardrum was busted in Deep South Wrestling and never got fixed. Couldn't hear through it. And I said, I need to get those fixed. And so I went on injury pay, in which they were pressuring me to get cleared for the months leading up to the contract expiring, because I'm friends with people there in the office, in which they already smartened me up that the moment I told them I was cleared, they would have tried to fire me before the contract expired so that they could make it look like they got rid of me, even though I'd walked out. And then I released them in a video, and that was that. In the contract, I got cleared the day after the contract expired, and that was that, man. it was just essentially beating them at their own game, which is just pettiness at all levels. But it is what it is.
Yeah, because that's the perception that they put out there, that they released you, that you didn't walk out. That's like the Carano thing or whatever, the talent relations part of it, the PR part of it that they put out there.
But that's not. I don't think that's out there. That's my contract expired on August 8th, and
But it was weird the way they worded it. It was weird.
I don't think, but yeah, I think a lot of the times though you're dealing with dirt sheets and people not in the know that come up with their opinions that have no real true knowings of the business or what's going on. My thing is, how are you going to, and I have the contract, I posted it. How are you going to though deny the people's word for that are actually living it over people that have no understanding or knowing they're not involved in the business? That always has fascinated me. And especially people that have a track record of telling the truth. They go, why are you believing other things over that? It's not simply not the case. And I think we live in a time and age where people are looking for clicks and they'll put out anything they want to put, but they always try to control the narrative. They always have. And I'm dealing with all the BS people don't understand with them still, like legally over my Ryback trademark, which I've won everything. I own the big guy. I own Feed Me More. I own everything that I've done with my branding and my website and my nutrition. And when I left there, I have the legal letters that I posted. They wanted my social media accounts and all my trademarks. They sent one last legal letter in 2016 for me to give them my social media, not to change my name, mind you, to give them everything, which they've never done for another talent. And I ask people, I go, why do you think they wanted my accounts? Because they know what I'm able to do. And they know that how popular I was when that they had to fight for everything to try to destroy all that.
Yeah, they wanted followers.
But they want to control the narrative and they don't want people to have success outside of the company. They've had my social media suppressed since 2016. And I'm working with different people to try to get this fixed. They're partners with Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And they've gone in and they essentially limit how much you're seen by your own following. Like on Twitter, I'm not even seen by 0.5% of my own following. On the majority of my stuff will be seen by between 2,000 and 7,000 people, and which I have 1.4 million. And when I left there in 2016, I had 1.5 million, and I had fantastic impressions and engagement that dropped off overnight when I did not sign that over legally to them. And it's been something it's that I'm going to have to pursue probably once I'm back from a legal standpoint. It's really frustrating, but and it's not just me. They've done that to other people. That's their way of controlling the narrative. And it's beyond personal. And it's one of those deals you can't just sit back and like be positive and smile on, because nothing will change. And I try to tell people, to explain to them what's going on is, imagine you're sitting in your home, just minding your own business, and your family's in the living room and you're sitting in the kitchen and somebody breaks into your house and they're going to murder your family right in front of you. Do you think sitting there and being positive and loving is going to solve that situation? Or do you think you're probably going to have to get up and fight back?
Yeah, you're gonna get up.
And that's the situation with them. But I want it over and done with so I can move on in my life. And I'm going to be awarded the Ryback trademark. It looks like in January or February, if things stand where they are, because they've been caught lying to the USPTO. They didn't create it or develop it, and they've been caught lying multiple times. So my attorneys beat them at every step of the way. But the social media suppression is the one thing that is truly frustrating, because I'm a brand and business owner. And to see what they're doing and to give people like kind of an idea, they'll go, well, maybe you're just not relevant. Maybe you've fallen off, right? All great points, I would say. Well, also I created a TikTok about 20 months ago, which is the only account that has not been suppressed to date, because at least that I know of. And I'm the second most followed pro wrestler behind only The Rock in 20 months. I would say, I think we would see that across the board. I've gained still with Instagram going on, even though there's been stuff going on there. I'm up to 1.6. I've gained over 500,000 followers, 600,000, I'm sorry, since leaving, which is still not nearly as impressive, but it's still growing. It's not going, whereas Twitter hasn't grown. I'm not being seen on that and certain other aspects of social media that we've caught going on. But you would see it across the board if that was the case, and that's not so.
And Twitter is weird too, because you're verified. You have the blue check mark. It's you. They know it's you. It's not like a Virgil thing where he got like de-verified because they found it wasn't Virgil. You know what I mean? It's like it's you. You're Ryback. You have the blue check mark. So that was a weird thing. So you finally got it back, right?
Yeah, got it back. Which somebody that works for WWE that I was friends with actually got it back. Twitter denied me twice. Twitter would not accept, even though I'm legally Ryback Reeves. People see, a lot of people think too, they go, well, you lost your check mark because you don't own the Ryback deal. One, you don't say I didn't own the Ryback deal. That's not, they don't own your social media and the accounts you create. I'm legally Ryback Reeves. So, and then I'm verified. I'm also, say I was never a pro wrestler. I'm now, you could say, a content provider and owner of a supplement company and podcast host, where I've got, 300 going on 400,000 subscribers on Ryback TV in 2.5, 3 years with that, and TikTok and a TikTok creator and all these other on social media. And they denied me as even that as a content provider. So somebody in WWE was able to upload my ID because Twitter wouldn't accept my ID, even though my ID was Ryback Reeves. Finally got me verified, but we're not able to right now. It's like, what do you call it? Shadow banning or suppressed?
Yeah. Yep. Shadow banning.
I post my analytics, and this is all being stored legally by me and my attorney. And we've been doing this because we have the data from before the account this happened and saw how the impressions and what the numbers were. And we're posting the numbers since. Twitter will not acknowledge me, not respond to me. We've submitted numerous cases. They won't respond to the situation and of just simply talking, because that's why I show people. I go, you can't say, you have 1.4 million followers and 2,000 people see only 2,000 people are even seeing the tweet.
Right.
That's it. So how can something take off and nothing does? Even though I'll post something, the same stuff across all the boards, and I've had things get 20 million views on TikTok, and then on Twitter, not even get 4,000 impressions. And it's how's that possible with that following already in place? And it's but I know, because we know what's going on, and it's just a way to hold you down. And essentially the perception, they're really big, and Hunter always used to say this, well, perception is reality. And I used to go, no, reality is reality. Perception is the bullshit that you guys make up to put out to cover your asses. And it's the truth on that. But that's what they do. And then so people that see that on social media, they go, man, Ryback really fell off. But I just go, well, go look at these other platforms. And again, number 2 on TikTok behind only The Rock. So I think that's a pretty good thing on, I don't think I've fallen off quite as far as you want to believe, but.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But how did they say that they could take away the check mark, though? Because that doesn't really make sense.
No, so so the check mark fell off because I updated the name. The check mark had nothing. The name was Ryback 22, and then I updated. I was able to get the name Ryback from the guy who had actually took the name. He finally gave it to me.
Okay.
And so I updated the name, and but what I was in talking to that guy. And then what I saw online is that you could just resubmit and get verified again. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, in which it ended up taking years to get the verification back on that. But this, like, my big thing is I don't even care about the verification. I care about the impressions. As long as people can see my content, I can care less if there was a blue check mark or not. I just want to be seen, because that's the only way you can grow. And what you got to understand, people go, well, why do you care so much? This is in 2021, in having a business. This has cost me hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in organic traffic for my business, which we have a 2% conversion rate from Twitter, which is huge for social media for one platform. So when I'm getting seen only by 2,000 people compared to I could be getting seen by a million, like on the other platforms, you do the math, like over time, that translates to sales and in growth, in perception. And so I have a lot at stake, because say I never went back to wrestling ever again, this is stopping me from growing in life as well, because this is all part of everyday life, especially when you work for yourself. And they know this because they knew my injuries and they knew everything I was going through. And so this is just kind of everything. It's all very personal. And that's why I kind of made getting my health back such a big priority, because there's going to be hell to pay the moment I'm back. And I promise, like, people thought I've always told the truth. I am going to be louder than I've ever been when I'm back, in a positive way. In a very positive way, and it's going to create a lot of excitement, but I will hold nothing back, because I've been the one that's had to live through this. So
now, you mentioned a great quote a while ago, and so many people mentioned about Triple H saying it to you. They don't want to create stars. The company is the star. What's the line? What's the quote? And what was the meaning behind it when he said that to you?
there'll never be another marquee name after John Cena. And that was during my first contract negotiations when I was red hot. And it was truly frustrating. When the day that I heard that, that was when I knew that in the way things were going. And I just, it now, and again, you could say they were just saying that because the marquee name, John was still the marquee name at the time, and they didn't have a replacement that they wanted yet for that. Even though Roman had been getting pushed for years with that, he wasn't in that position yet either. And John had it left, and I don't think John had any intentions of leaving, or at least made known to them at the time that he was leaving. And I think at the time, I think they truly meant it, because they weren't looking past that with John Cena. I think since then Roman has stepped into that role more so, even though I would say it's not at the level of John Cena was yet, anyways. But he's at least been put into that position, I feel, as a heel, and doing a fantastic job as that. But we've seen it with countless guys there, and that to me was always, they were shooting themselves in the foot, because people don't pay to see the logo wrestle. You come to see larger than life superstars. And I understand, the reason why Vince has been burned is because of Vince, not because of the talent. Talent of always that love wrestling would do anything for that company. The reason why they get put in these positions and people leave and people are unhappy with them is because of Vince's mindset and the way Vince treats people. And it's not a good thing. And it's all his own karma and his own doing. And that to me is one of the biggest disappointments in him, with me, from a human standpoint, that he hasn't evolved in his later years to go out with a better legacy, not for what the people think, but what the wrestlers think and what they truly think, not what some of them say to come back and get paydays from him. And I always spoke truthfully to him. And I do a lot of reading and a lot of learning on self-development. He is not, for as great of a businessman as he can be, he's not well evolved, and he does not have a very high sense of self-development with his mindset. And he's very 48 laws of power, very carny, evil, just ways you don't need to be to the people that have given you everything that you got. My opinion.
With him and kind of not wanting somebody to be bigger than WWE, what's like the fear there? Because if there's no Hogan, let's say in the 80s, I probably don't become a fan. I mean, he's kind of what attracted me to me giving my money, or my parents' money, to WWE for years. And then it's like, okay, then there's Steve Austin, there's The Rock, there's Cena, maybe even Reigns. I mean, don't you need those larger than life guys? Isn't that the point of like becoming a fan and getting into it? What's Vince's mindset on that?
I think it's because and he's told me this countless times, is it's a business to him, that he's just looking at solely his profits, his balance sheets, his profit and loss. They've found ways to make more money than ever with this. And so in his mind, if it's not broke, why fix it? As far as one of the rules, and we've heard this said countless times, is never let the wrestlers know how important they are to the business, essentially, kind of that carny deal. They are the business. Pro wrestling doesn't exist without the wrestlers. And, I think for everyone, and this isn't like grateful for the platform and everything, but they're the lowest paid athletes, entertainers in all sports and all of entertainment, based off the percentages with that. And at least that was always the way it was, right? I just think he's built people over time. And like I said, they end up leaving him, but they leave him because of his ways. If you treat people good and are honest with them and transparent with them, which we could see you can do and be a business owner, and a lot more business owners today have that mindset. And you see that with Tony Khan, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. You empower your employees, which we're not even employees for WWE. We're not even allowed to be, right? Independent contractors, but you empower your employees. But he stopped doing that a long time ago. And I think for whatever reason, in his mind, it's just easier in not letting guys get too popular, because what happens too is guys will leave, and this is why the opportunities in movies, and they took away countless things for me when I was there with the muscle magazines in movies, they don't want you to see how good it can be outside of there. And that's his schedule, that 5-day a week, live on the road, sacrifice your health and die for me and my billions. And that's my big issue with him. And people, that is not something to be worshipped or put on a pedestal. It's not. That is, you tell me how that's right. And you look at all the guys that are dead. Not one phone call from that company. I broke my back and my shoulder. I gave them everything. I was with them since 22. Granted, I've spoken up and told the truth because of everything they're doing legally, and that's all they're doing, not mine. I'm simply fighting for my life on this. If I don't, they eat you up and they kill you. I will not die. But that is the mindset that they have. And it's truly not one phone call, nothing over this. I was done. If I didn't have the mindset that I have, probably would have committed suicide years ago. They don't give a shit. That's why I'm motivated and I've spoken up for wrestlers. I don't get anything in this. Everything I've ever spoken up for, I'm not benefiting from. It's probably hurting me even more. But it needs to be spoken up so independent wrestlers, people are informed before they make that decision on signing on with that company. And what we're seeing is more people signing on with other companies and going, I don't need to go work there. But I truly hope to God it changes. And I hope, but I don't think it does until they sell and they get all new management in there all together to get that mindset. They got to get the mindset fixed, personally. But
So you had offers to do magazine covers and movies and
yeah,
other things. Why would they not want that? That would help WWE in the long run. That would give
you
them
would
like
think,
a
yeah.
higher ranking, higher
I've
standing.
talked to Flex Magazine twice. The Sean Perriman, he unfortunately has passed away. The worked with the head guy for the muscular development and muscle and fitness. I'm sorry, and Flex Magazine. They wanted me on the cover for Flex Magazine. Came up to me at Madison Square Garden. Got the ball rolling. Hunter straight up came up to me and said they're not letting me do it. Him and Stephanie decided to do the magazine covers for the month that I was offered, along with the Bella twins, and there was one other person they let do for November, which was supposed to be the month that I was on Flex Magazine. They called me back about a year and change later. They go, we're trying to get you back on the cover of Flex. You're the only guy that we can. That one is for the more muscular guys, Flex. Like you got to have your muscle and fitness is for lean, muscular guys as well. But Flex is rare company. They go, they're not letting you do it again. They want Roman. We don't want Roman. Roman's not in shape during the time. Roman's in much better shape now than he was then, even though Roman's always been in shape, but he was still wearing the vest. They go, Roman's not in shape. We want you on the cover. They denied me again. And I just go, what do I do? But that ties in, man, with my legal shit I talked to you about, with me sticking up for myself after my ankle injury. And like, it's nothing that was all tied into, I think, to creatively with me as well, and as well as what their business model was at the time. And it is what it is. I'm grateful for everything. The past is the past. It's over. And I've used that energy, that negative energy, to fuel me in a positive direction, to go back and not let that ruin me either, and not make me bitter as far as in the wrestling business, and resent the business or anything like that, and not hold it against other people, but learn from those experiences, and be grateful for everything that I have now. And I'm truly I've truly learned the value of happiness, and not being. I've walked away from fame and that whole deal, and learned how to make money with my brain. And it was, I'm very proud of everything. I will not take one thing back that happened with that. But at the same time, I have to use that energy that motivates me to stay hungry, to go back. And what I believe is going to be my prime coming up for the next 5 to 10 years. I honestly believe that my best years are coming up. So, and at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go up there and back that up, and prove that at a high level, in which I'm more than confident in. And I've stayed in shape physically and conditioning. And I trained my wrestling style. Literally everything I did wrestling for conditioning, I do now to keep myself ready to go, so that the moment I get cleared from my shoulder, it's boom, back to a wrestling ring. I make a couple phone calls and we're back. And that's how I live my life now.
Anywhere in particular, any phone calls that you can mention that you might be making?
No. So again, there's been stuff, and it's not good to put that out there.
Right.
Because all I can say is there's been stuff that's put out and it's not true. I know the text and the phone calls and the emails, and enough people know me in pro wrestling where it's not going to be for WWE. Even though I think if I would say, I think John Laurinaitis has hired me twice. I think if I made one phone call and say, yeah, John, I think I want to try to work things out with Vince, I think that would be very easy to do. I never want to have to go back to that environment ever again, unless there would have to be things in writing, knowing my protection, and not even creatively, but more knowing exactly what we're signing up for in that sense. And but I don't even want to have to ever go there ever again, and nor do I have to. So
apparently, with what has been said online, who knows what's true or not, but it seems like WWE is really kind of making a push. They don't want smaller guys anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like Vince is going back to the old way. Obviously, you fit in that mold. You don't want to go back, but you kind of
Yeah.
fit in the mold of like the Vince guy, you know, the big,
Yeah.
huge guy that looks
But I
longer
would
than
question
life.
anyone that said that, though. My work rate, I will put up against anyone. I really will, especially with my style and the ability to work with any other talent. Like, go back and watch my matches. That's why I
Well,
tell
size
you.
and look, I mean, like,
Yeah,
as
no,
far,
but from
yeah.
a physical, yeah, and I agree with that. But I think that's one thing some people like will make comparisons of the thing. I go back and go watch live events going out and working main events, 15, 20, 25-minute matches. You won't see a lot of guys other than Brock that were able to do that. Like, it's just not so. But they've adjusted in their business model again. And I think, and Cody made a comment like with their programming, and they have a buffet assortment of talent. And that's what you need in pro wrestling. I respect and love all styles of pro wrestling. And that's why I think sometimes fans have their preference. They do. Everyone has their preference of what they like. But at the end of the day, you got to understand that there's different talents, and different talents like different people, and they base their styles off of what they're taught and how to draw money. And different styles are, if you're a big killer like me and I go out there and try to chain wrestle and do things, it doesn't translate to a mass audience. It just doesn't. Like if I'm not vicious, I'm not intense. If I'm just going out and I'm not doing power moves, and now you can have a combination of that with that. But like in example, remember Kane and Big Show did a match on Raw
Oh my
many
God.
years ago,
They
and they
were
were like
chain
trying to change
wrestling. Yeah.
because they wanted to show everyone in the back they could do it. Right. I
Yep.
remember being younger, not in the business yet, going, "This is what's going on with that." And that is what you have to remember. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. But there's a way to do everything, but you got to respect all styles. And you never want to get too heavy into just one style. You want to have a mix of that. And then that creates a diverse television program where people can, focus on the thing that they like for that show. And there might be other things they don't like. The key is to focus on what you like and to understand that from a television standpoint and from a business standpoint, you want to have your big power guys, your hybrid power guys, your giants, your technical wrestlers, your high flyers, and your guys that can do it all, right? You want
Yep.
a balance of all that. And then on top of that, you need guys that can go out there and talk. You need the guys that can't talk. They got the managers that can talk. You got guys that can do this, that can do that can work with people. And it creates the best pro wrestling possible with that. And when you get anytime and whenever you get something that's all too similar across the board, in the same, if you hire a bunch of 300-pound guys and they're all the exact same and none of them can talk and they're just big looking hulky bodybuilder guys out there lunking around, that cool. There's going to be a small portion of people that are like, "Oh, this is awesome. I love this." And then the rest of the people are going to tune out. And it's the same thing if you go too heavy on smaller based wrestlers doing all the same styles, beating giants at times where it's just a disconnect outside of a rare good story, right? Then you got it. So you need a balance of all of this, and I think AEW has an understanding of that, and they have the momentum and the energy, obviously, with what they're doing, and I like what they're doing, and I've liked what they've done from day one as far as surviving, and now I feel like now we're starting to see them step on the gas a little bit. So.
Would you be interested in going to AEW down the road?
I'm interested in anything at this point that I think is going to be beneficial for all parties. I've talked about it enough on the Ryback show, and I do my daily lives on those. I used to live with Cody. I'm not like I don't need to sit there and say what were anything going on or that. And there's been other places, and I think I've just said when my shoulder's ready, I will let everyone know.
Yep.
I will let everyone know the moment, because the worst thing I could do is say, "Hey, I want to set up a meeting and I want to discuss creative or what we're going to do, and I got some ideas." Great. When can you start? I don't know. That's kind of, you know what I mean? I go, it could be a month, it could be 3 months. I don't know what the timetable is on, again, overcoming a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement, other than I know that I can go back right now. Yes. I'm at the very end, and I just need to make sure, because I don't want to be hurt again. And I could wrestle in pain. This is more from a selfish standpoint of I don't want to go through all the atrophy on my right side, and I don't want to be an old man with a bum shoulder. right? So I'm just
Yep.
like, because the moment I get it right, I'll be fine. And I know how to protect myself. I worked hurt my entire career through things, and I've learned since how to take care of myself better. And like, it's just like I said, it could be a month, it could be 3 months, it might be longer. I don't know. Right now, I just know from what I'm being told and how I feel, they're like, this could at any time, the moment that tissue releases, you're in the clear. So it's but I will say they are the number one promotion that I definitely just from having friends there and everyone I've talked to that's there, on what kind of environment it is, would be
Yeah.
obviously I think the best fit. But again, there's a lot of things, they're signing a lot of talent. And we got to see again. I have some good creative stuff that I think always have been good at trying to find, like, the game in pro wrestling is you got to find a place for you to fit, and without messing up other things going on, right? And that's something I've always felt like I've one of my strong suits with that. But we got to wait and see. And if, again, if there's no opportunities when the time comes and things change, and then I'll go, okay, well, what are the other options? What are the other options? And at the end of the day, this day and age, let's just say no pro wrestling promotion was ever interested in me ever again. And nobody didn't care about anything. Just go, well, we live in a day and age where I have my business and financially I'm fine. I could just go do wrestling matches on the independents and have my matches recorded and upload them to my Ryback TV and continue growing my channel and making my money on that, which is more than most jobs on that. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and then grow my supplement line, and on top of that, my wrestling revenue, and have, and again, 10 streams of revenue coming in. Now, am I on TV? No, but I still can go out and do what I love at my own leisure and schedule. At the end of the day, it's not a bad thing, but I do believe there will be opportunities. And at the worst, I think, say again, nobody says that, I'll go out and do a few independent matches and remind everybody who the fuck I am pretty quickly. Like that's
Yeah.
my mentality.
Yep.
And I'm not worried about that. And I've always been able to back up anything like that I've talked. So
With AEW, Punk just signed there.
yeah.
What did you think about that? Because then the rumor now is they might be getting Daniel Bryan too. So it's like, wow, they're
Yeah.
really loading up on top level talent.
Absolutely. And I'm very happy for them. And again, so everything with Punk, again, this is all in the past, right?
Right.
I've discredited everything. There were lies. And we'll talk about that briefly again to remind people he was in a very bad place mentally and physically, and he was very hurt working me from the beginning. He was hurt working a lot of people and complained about a lot of people with that. It is what it is. I'm happy he had that moment, because as much as we're different in a lot of ways, we do have similar things I think we agree on about the business. And I've always commended him for the choices he to go out and try to do what he tried to do, just as far as from a mentality standpoint, and having the courage to go try to do something different that maybe a lot of people wanted of with
Right.
that. And being out with my injuries and everything going on and working hard to get back, it made me happy, because he was gone even longer with that, right? With no wrestling, that it made me happy to see he had that moment, because I could relate to it. So, and I think, and like I said, and I put out a tweet with it, despite any personal feelings or differences on things with that, he is good for pro wrestling with that. And I don't agree with everything. And there's been personal things we've had when we were there, but the guy's over. There's no denying that he's not over. And I think if his head's on right, and which I think it's going to be on better than it was in WWE. I used to get along with him before I met him again, and we got along great until everything with money on the line in WWE with that. I think he seems like he's in a better place mentally now, and I hope he's physically fine. And like I said, that environment, it seems a little more like a better fit with it. And I think he's very beneficial to them, as I think Daniel Bryan will be as well. So you'll never hear me ever like say, I don't think a guy should be signed. I never want nobody not to make money and do well in life or anything like that. Despite personal feelings, I could put those aside. Like he said what he said, and I've said the truth, and it is what it is with that. But he's good for pro wrestling, and I think he's going to help help them get to a higher level. And as the guys that they brought in, and what people need to understand with that too, and when you bring in the right pieces, have you ever heard Bruce Pritchard talk about Hogan Dust with people?
Basically, Hogan, if you work with Hogan, he gives you the rub.
Yeah. So that I always use that term though, just for guys that have star power. that Hogan dust has been carried on to different people, and
Yep.
eventually it became like Cena dust, whatever the Punk.
Yep.
That there's very few guys in pro wrestling where they have a certain amount of the star power left, right? So anytime you can get a guy with that star power still, with that, when you put him in there and now he's working a program with Darby Allin, and then he goes on and works a program with Jungle Boy, that elevates their homegrown talent. And over time, people start seeing the talent with more star power.
Yeah.
And it speeds up the process. And so that is what they are very aware of that. And it makes me very happy to see that in doing that. And it's not you just bring these guys in and just you put them over all your guys all the time, but you find a creative way to bring them in and to kind of make it work, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I think they've learned from other companies, and they've got the right people in place to know that. And I think it's a good environment, man. They really, like, to me, it's a hungry environment for a positive change in pro wrestling, where they're gearing up for, like, there is a war going on in wrestling, and it doesn't have nothing to do with ratings. It's a war on making the business better and treating wrestlers better, and guys coming together and realizing that, look at the way the business has been all these years. Now there's a new game in town, and we could do pro wrestling better than it's been done, as far as how treating people better with that. And it's
Yeah.
always going to be, there's always going to be politics, and there's always going to be the BS and all that at different times. But if there's just a fundamental understanding, and that comes from the top down on the owner's mindset, that is shared across the board. And to me, it just seems, from everything I've been told, and I've never met Tony, but it is a much healthier, better work environment. So
I've
I'm
heard.
happy that Punk has had an opportunity to go back, because, and like I said, walking away and leaving, we have a lot of things that we're different on. We have some pretty strong similarities, though, as far as the way things have happened and probably our views. But like it's when I left and going through this, I don't want that to be my end. A lot of people don't even know what happened to me. A lot of people, I just was off TV and I've never been mentioned once, right? And I was at one time the biggest thing on that show. How does that like? It is what it is. And I've told the truth, and there's been a lot of lies and BS out there on a lot of negative things, and it's really, really unfortunate. But all I've done is continue to put my truth out there, and I hope to have one day have the opportunity to have the rest of my career go out the way that it should, on that, on a much better note, and on the truth with that. And that's why I'm happy for Punk that he's getting that opportunity.
Seems like you guys do have a lot in common, because Punk got that same Triple H speech, like, nobody's going to be a bigger star after
Yeah.
Cena. Like, we're not going to, and he was beating Cena in a lot of the metrics. So it's like, wow, I guess, they really have their mindset that they're not going to push their
Yeah.
guys. You got, Feed Me More was over big, and it didn't seem like they were ready to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
IC title maybe, but then they wouldn't go the extra mile and put the rocket ship to you,
Yeah.
And strap it to you and have it sent to the moon. It just didn't
Well,
seem
I'll
like
say
they
too,
were
well,
willing
Punk
to
had
do it.
no problem, though. Punk had no problem going over me when I had all the momentum.
Right.
That's part. So how much is he in it for himself or for the business? And that's what I see. I think that's my mindset. If somebody's hotter than me, run with them. It's up to me to figure out how to get hotter. But again, he'd already been through that. So he's at an FU point to the company. Well, I'm going to just take everything I can get now. And that's just the way. And that, I'm not putting that creative or anything on him with that. But that was right then at the time. I was the number 2 merch seller, going in right behind John with all of that for a period of like 7-8 months with all of that. And then I think I had 7 pay-per-view losses while I was in the top spot with that. That's pretty unheard of, and it got more popular until we took it all away with that. But it goes both ways on that. But I think that he maybe his mindset was, at the time, he'd already been through the ringer with all of that, right?
Right.
And having like his momentum was already stifled. So why is he then gonna do something for the company? That's the nature of the business. That's the upper echelon of talent, like that main event level. That's the unfortunate part of the business. And where I was at the time, creatively, it would have made sense for me to probably go in there and go, no, Vince, this is bullshit. What are we going to, we're going to throw this all away. Don't do this. But realistically, I never should have been put in that position to begin with if we weren't ready to run with it.
Right.
But Cena went out with the arm injury and suggested they put me in the main event. So which was fine. I was more than capable of being in the main event, and always was. And I prefer to be there. But it was like, I would have preferred to continue to build my momentum until the timing was right. But it is what it is. That's what happened. I learned a lot of valuable lessons about the business and about that kind of stuff. And that when you have lightning in a bottle, don't let someone throw it away but that's one of those things you run the risk of with the way the business is. If I would have went and spoken up on that, there probably would have been a report that Ryback was really difficult to do business with on that. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So because I hadn't been there that long. So that's kind of the game. And from everything I knew, I go, I don't have enough power yet to probably fight this. And you go along with it. And I always did business. So that's the only thing too. I've seen other things. I go, because you speak the truth after you leave on what goes on there doesn't mean that you were difficult to do business with. Always did what was asked. I approach it like physical acting with that on any role, because that's exactly what it is. It's physical acting portraying pro wrestling. And the closer you could resemble that in real life, the better you play those roles. But any role, that's how I embraced it very early on and go, okay, what's the best? Go out to make this as best I can. And I always did that.
So as we hit the wind down, we head towards the finish here. With you, I know we're talking about you're getting ready for a comeback, but outside of wrestling, what's next? Like not in ring and getting in shape and stuff. Like what's next outside of wrestling? The nutrition, the supplements, everything as far as that.
Yeah, and just continuing to grow the business and help people. And I do the Ryback Show daily lives, and I'll have guests on again. But we switched up the format to more helping people with personal questions, and we still talk pro wrestling on there: health, fitness, supplementation, mindset, pro wrestling, positivity, world events. Like it's more of with answering questions to help people based off that, and it ties in a little better with my branding. But everything with me, like, it was creating financial freedom through my business and everything I got going on, getting the health back, regardless. Say pro wrestling, just say pro wrestling was never a thing again. Continuing to get my health to where my shoulder is just completely never an issue ever again. Growing my business, doing my feeding time videos on YouTube, where I do the vegan feeding time, where I'll go out once a week and eat a vegan cheat meal or something. Vegas has the most vegan restaurants, or one of the most vegan restaurants in all of the world. I think we're like in the top 5 in the United States, or number 3 or something, behind like LA and New York. It's crazy. We have a ton of restaurants here. So to help people, educate people on a plant-based diet, because that's something that's giving me my health back. I'm in the best shape I've been in a long time. But mentally in such a good place, and like blood work wise and lab work, blood pressure was like 118/54, which for a 290-pound guy is pretty damn good with that. And just continuing to grow my brand and help people with everything. But the supplement business is something I'm truly passionate about, because everything going on in the world, with everything with COVID and just the way the world is, I truly believe we as human beings, we're all a blip on this radar of human evolution. And we're doing a lot of bad things in our lifetimes and prior. Capitalism for bad is the reason why we are in the position we are in a lot of different things. And I believe the system itself isn't broken. It's the people that are broken. But capitalism for good, where we sell, but we sell good for good, where we profit, but we actually give something of service and benefit to people, and don't sacrifice their health or hurt them or in another person's life in a negative way, or animal's life in a negative way. And that to me is going to be the mindset moving forward, and that I truly believe in, and being fully transparent with people and being honest. And just as a business, I am really excited to actually be able to help people, and people message me that I've helped them lose hundreds of pounds and get their life back on track. And I tell people, fix your food, you fix your mood. And that to me is very rewarding. So that is something I'm going to continue to do to the day that I die, because I'm very passionate about that. And what I'm trying to do is hopefully be able to go back to pro wrestling and continue to do everything that I'm doing right now, exactly as I am. And that is, and grow my brand. And like I said, the TikTok has exploded again.
Yeah, big time.
So I'm very blessed and grateful for my time. And again, we talk about things, and I want to make it clear. Like when I talk about things, I'm just simply being transparent and sharing what happened with things. I'm always grateful for everything, but this is I would love for everything with WWE to be great. At the end of the day, I was friends with Vince's brother, Rod. I used to talk to Rod quite a bit. And Rod would always go, Vince always talked, highly of you and liked you. I go, well, that's not what I've seen from everything I see going on. And with that, and not one phone call ever. So But Rod was very like, I got along with Rod really, really well. But at the end of the day, I wish everything was great. And it is what it is, though. And I've had to take that negativity and use it for positivity in everything that I'm doing, and just truly being grateful for every day. And I've learned throughout all of this, take away all the BS and take away everything though. And like money, and I love money for financial freedom and grow. I want to continue to grow and do great things. I've learned the value of happiness in like being home and with my dogs and in my family. Um, in understanding that it's not a financial number that makes you happy. It's not a push that makes you happy or a championship that makes you happy. It's our mindset, and it exists in all of us. And I've learned that in my time away that I don't know if I ever would have learned if I never was injured or didn't go through the things that I went through um, with that. So it's I've been blessed, man. And I tell people too, a lot of another one thing I want to address there. A lot of people think that I just couldn't get booked for the last 3 years in pro wrestling with that. And I think it's very important for people to understand that I stopped doing my bookings, one, because of my health and my doctor was on me, but my dog Sophie has disc disease. And in my time with all my injuries, my little Frenchie had 8 ruptures in a row, which thank God through True Panion and pet insurance, she had 7 back ruptures in a row, and then last year ruptured her neck, which I stopped doing everything to keep her alive because she wasn't allowed to be boarded anymore. And like we can't put her. I got to walk her with a little doggy stroller. She can't wear a harness, and she can't wear a leash because she's susceptible. But I've since switched their diet to a whole food diet. She's been fantastic, but I've learned throughout all this time though to really cherish life in each and every day, and that wasn't the reason why I stopped doing wrestling bookings. I stopped taking them because to keep my dog alive, and I think that was
Wow.
something that it was important because Mark Henry made some comments, and Mark knows the things he said. I'm very disappointed as him as a human being, and he used to follow me, and I know where he stands now professionally and personally with that, and it's over with. I wish him the absolute best, but he knows all the lies that he said. That was the reason why I stopped doing wrestling bookings, not because I'm some piece of shit that wasn't able to get booked. So I want people to understand that because that is the truth.
There's a little. I don't want to get into it, but a little
No, we don't
unprofessional,
even
a
know.
little bit,
Let's just leave
little
it
bit of
as
a
it
cheap
is.
shot.
Leave
Yeah,
it as it
yeah,
is. It doesn't
yep,
even, but
yep,
he knows what he did.
yep.
It's forever. I wish him the best, but it is what it is. That's the truth.
Just curious with Rod McMahon though, how'd you get in with him? I actually, this is so weird though. I tried to get him for an interview, and I was like, he's gonna ignore it. He's not gonna. But he got back to me. He was so nice. He goes, "Listen, I don't like to do
Yeah.
interviews. I like," but he was so professional, so nice. I was like, wow, I can't believe that he actually like took the time to call me back. I was like, you just ignore me or whatever. But
Yeah.
he was like, hey, hey, good list of guys you had on, or whatever he said. And he's like, but he goes, I don't want to do it. I don't like to do wrestling stuff. I keep that, my brother, that's his thing.
Yeah.
So how did you become friends with him? Just
He
always
buys
curious.
he used to buy Feed Me More Nutrition and subscribe to my
Wow.
weekly message of positivity with a discount, and he would always
Wow.
respond to my I met Rod, so people don't know this. Me and Rod, and we used to text here and there, not a lot before this, but I met him at a Houston. I used to always stay no matter wherever TV was, we'd book our hotels. I always would book a room 20, 30 miles out so that I can go to a gym, and all the other guys wouldn't go to a gym because usually the more guys that would go to a gym, more fans would know
Oh
that.
yeah.
And so
Yep.
I always wanted to go focus, get my workout. So I would always go to a gym a little outside of town to get my workout in on TV days with that. And I at this gym, I do my workout. I was getting ready to go do the tanning beds. They had tanning beds. They're all gray. I'll hop in the tanning bed before TV. And this guy is out by the front desk. He goes, Ryback. And he goes, I'm Vince's brother, Rod. And I'm looking at him. So I think instantly this guy's full of shit. He's lying to me. I had no idea Vince had a brother. And he's talking to me. And I'm just thinking, God, how crazy this guy is. What is this story? And I'm looking at his face. His face is just spot like he had the same nose as Vince.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there you could tell. Like I go, you are Vince's brother. He goes, yeah, I told you that. And so anyways, we exchanged numbers, and he nicest guy in the world, like you said, and which might shock some people. And
Yeah.
we just stayed in touch. And then he emailed me. I hadn't heard from him in years after all this happened, and I've been away. He started replying to my weekly newsletter messages from feedmemore.com with that for Feed Me More Nutrition. and just saying he'd agree with me on things that I was talking about and whatever they were. And he loved the supplements, and he would buy them all the time. And I would send him things. I go, try this. We got this, and I'd send him. I wish I had the relationship with Vince that I had with Rod,
Right.
but the
Yeah.
because it was just so laid back and so natural and nice, and it just wasn't. He's such a nice human being. But anyways, true story, and I've talked about this when I was with Ryback with Curtis Axel, the punishment period, I call it, where with all of that. Vince in the Houston, we had a tag match. I think it was a 4 corners tag match that day. And Vince comes up to me. It's something, and I say, we're walking down the hallway. We say hi, and I go, "Hey, Vince." I go, "I met your brother Rod today." He goes, "Oh yeah." I go, "Yeah." I go, "Man, you guys look a lot alike." He got red in the face instantly. I'm talking like just Brock Lesnar 15 minutes into a match with Kurt Angle beat red. And he just like, "Oh, we look nothing alike." And he storms off like a child. And I
Yeah.
just go, fuck me. Like what is going on? Later that night, Vince comes back up to me. I go, great. He's gonna, which by the way, the finish got put on me for the tag match.
Yeah, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. So this just goes to I go, of course. Vince goes, "I really want you to meet my mom, so I want you to meet my mom." So I'm thinking this is like he's, I guess, like gonna have a bunch of talent go meet his mom. His mom was 90 something at the time.
Right, she's
And
100 and something now, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yep.
So I go into this room. Somebody brings me into this room, and it's me and Vince's mom and nobody else. And then I'm just thinking like, what's going on? And she goes, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." The first thing she said, she goes, "My son's gonna live for a long time." And I'm just thinking, what the actual fuck is going on? Like, did he send? Like, did he put her up to like what? And then there's some other people like security or other people. No other wrestlers were in there. It was just me, and it was so weird. But I mean, fantastic lady, very nice woman, and she looked great. And like she just got done playing tennis, and it was.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that was my Rod story that day in Houston because his mom lived there. I don't know if she still does at the time, but um, I was sad when I heard, man, that got me because I didn't see. I talked to him not that long ago, and I wasn't aware if there were even any health issues or anything. And then I saw that he passed, and I just go, man, that got me a little bit. So
Yeah. He was older, right, than Vince by a
I
couple
think
years?
he's a couple years older, a year and a half, 2 years, if I'm not, maybe 3, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say he was 77 at the time. I could be wrong
Right.
on that, and I know Vince is now 76, I think so. But yeah, man, that was it's crazy. It was
Very
like I said,
weird.
we'd go back and forth and things and just talk, and like it was just like, and then you just read that he's like, "Oh, he passed away." I go, Jesus Christ. So,
Very random. Was him and Vince close at all or not really? It doesn't kind of seem like it.
I don't. The vibe I got again, I can't say for sure, but
Right.
he it didn't seem that they were overly close from everything, but obviously they talked still
Yeah.
and things, and he made that known on certain things he'd said. But he was always very supportive, and he goes, "I loved you, man." He goes, I just want to see you go back. And he goes, "I hope you go to AEW." He was always
Yeah.
very, and at the time, like just very supportive with that. And he goes, "It'd be cool to see you back again." And he knew all the injuries and everything going on, and he would check. Like, see, that to me was like he would like check on that stuff. He's like, "How you feeling? How you doing?" And it's like that's where I look. I go, "Man, how come the guy who I gave everything for can't do that?"
Right.
Right? So
Yep.
people understand, like, and that's why I think people. To me, that's why I get angry at Vince because I'm like, it doesn't need to be that way, man. Everything you have is for people that have literally given their lives, and no one's not grateful. It's just like when you hoard everything though, and greed, like, and we see it with the UFC now, what they're doing with the fighters, because Vince taught Dana everything Dana's doing now to the fighters.
Yep.
It sucks. You don't need to be that way. Everybody can win in that, but that's capitalism for bad. And that's the problem in the world. And nobody's saying you can't make more money or do this, but when you do it at the expense of human beings, man, they give you, and we got the Eddie Guerreros and the Chris Benoits and everybody up there, man. Everybody, British Bulldog, Yokozuna, everybody we grew up loving, man. They all died young, and they all died young for him. And that to me is what I feel I've been truly been blessed, that to get my health back and learn from that, because being aware, if I would have stayed, I would have been another sad case. I got out of there in a matter of months. I would have been a sad case, because there would have been no overcoming that. It would have been pain pills, surgery, and it would have just been one thing after the other on that. I would not have been protected. I've always been protected, but I've been protected in a way that's shocked me even on this. But I feel a sense of responsibility in learning the vegan diet and understanding the climate, crisis that we have in the agricultural farming, and we're destroying the planet and everything with the water. Like, we have a lot of real issues that we as humans, that this blip on the radar, we got to start taking some accountability and looking in the mirror. And I felt for the first time in my life, man, I feel a deeper sense of meaning past just myself, on helping raise awareness for the right things and going back. And I feel like I've been given back my health for a reason. And I felt like I've not aged for a reason. I've been held intact for a reason, to be able to have an opportunity to do what I want to do. Yes, but something much bigger than just me. And like I said, we're all blips on this radar of human evolution, but we're doing some serious damage here in the world, and that there's going to be no coming back from sooner than later. So that is something I hold near and dear to me, and look forward to doing as I return to TV and a big stage again. Hopefully, if I'm blessed to have that opportunity again.
Nice. Well, Ryback, awesome stuff. Before let you go, where is the TikTok, the social media, the Instagram, the Twitter? Give us all your social media plugs.
So I'm on TikTok and Instagram, the big guy Ryback 22. We're about to hit 1.6 million on there, I think today or tomorrow. So thank you to everyone following me on there. Now we got to catch up to that guy, The Rock. That's
who is that? What did he ever do?
Yeah,
what did he ever do in the business?
Everything he puts he's like the Hansel of 2021. The
my wife got his tequila for me. She's like, "Oh, this is The Rock's tequila." Of course, she's killing it in that too. Yeah,
yeah. You could. There's nothing you can't put The Rock's name on right now. I think it's honestly very motivating to see somebody do so well in so many aspects of life. The at Ryback at Twitter, and then the big one that people use, my YouTube, Ryback TV, and that's where we've got the feeding time videos, and you get a little bit of everything on that, a little entertainment, inspiration, cool food, good vegan food, and some really cool places here, and then as well as the Ryback Show on all podcast platforms, and then on Ryback TV as well on that. And man, Feed Me More Nutrition, feedmemore.com is the big thing for me, where we got premium supplements for men and women with no artificial sweeteners or colors, and vegan friendly. And that's on feedmemore.com.
Nice. Awesome stuff. Ryback, thank you so much for all the time today. Really appreciate it.
No, greatly appreciated. Always grateful, man, to have opportunities to talk. So thank you.